Hey there everyone, how are we all doing? Today we have some brand new hot patch notes for the final open beta for Lawbreakers. Going to be opening up this weekend, July 28th, heading on through July 30th. Will be completely open to PC and PS4 players, so key or not, you can download the game, play it for free for a couple of days, see if you like it, see what you think. But for those of you returning players, let's take a look at some of the patch updates, what all has happened to the game, and what all you can expect. And I'm not going to be just reading these notes to you guys. We're going to be going through my personal thoughts and opinions from a relatively high-level perspective of how the game is going to play and be affected by these changes. And it might go a little bit long, but we'll try to keep it as succinct as possible. So here we go. First up, we have the addition of a new sandbox tutorial mode. So not really a huge deal for the people who've been playing, but for new players, this is fantastic because it gives you a way to play whatever character you want in a non-challenging environment where you just have an empty map, maybe some bots or something on it, I don't even know yet, but there'll be something guiding you through playing whatever character you want to play and just learning the abilities yourself with your hands on the character, and that's the most important thing. You can watch videos, and videos are cool and fine, good, whatever, but nothing beats that first-hand experience, and a sandbox tutorial mode hopefully will provide that to players. So really happy to see this coming into the game, especially in a beta, like not even the full game, but in the beta it's there, like wow, sweet, awesome. Next up we have some Twitch integration features. These are very minor and simple for the time being, but I think they're really good for the game and are a great step in the right direction. So what we're doing here, or rather what they're doing here, is basically allowing you to link your Twitch and Lawbreakers accounts. So this gives you two things. One, get that broadcaster icon when you're streaming so people can see that you're online, of course, sure. Secondly, Steam ID can be changed into your Twitch channel name instantly. So that way people can see you're streaming, but if you're using your really awkward, weird Steam name like everyone has, like they're not going to see that, Big Booty 69 is streaming. They're going to see that Frothy is streaming, right? There's that big gap between those two things as to, one is going to take them to the wrong place entirely, another one will take them to the correct place. So you want to make sure that if they see you're streaming that they're going to the proper URL. And I would imagine that there's probably going to be some kind of functionality where you can click on a streamer's name and there'll be a button to open stream or something, and you can do that within the Steam web browser or an external browser, whatever. So I'm sure that functionality will be there, and if it's not, then boss key please. Next up, we have some character customization coming in, so you're going to see the full gamut of character customization available to you in the full release of the game in this beta. So every character skin, every sticker, every kick decal, everything, every last bit of it will be in this beta. And there's a lot more examples, which if I remember, I'm going to edit it in right here so you guys can see some of those other examples as well. It's going to be some really cool stuff coming for you guys very soon, so hopefully you enjoy those as well. Next up, we have some major changes coming to melee in general for the game, and this is going to affect every character in the game. So your kick range was just some value of 600. Whatever that meant, the value was 600. Now we're down to 400, so you're seeing a pretty significant nerf to the distance at which you're going to hit people with melee. And it's not just your regular press F to melee, it's also your assassin blades, it's also your Wraith blade, it's also your Juggernaut blade. Those ranges are in tandem reduced as well. So this is hopefully going to make the game a little bit more challenging because I was very vocal about some of the more powerful melees being a little bit too easy to use and a little bit too noob friendly. So Assassin Blades, even though there was the aim component added, the range was still too great in my opinion. The Wraith's main range was a little too great in my opinion with that knife stab, and Juggernaut's range was a little too great with his knife stab. So really happy to see those reduced because they are very strong, very powerful abilities, and rightfully so, but they should take a little bit more skill in order to use at a low level, while not really affecting the high level terribly. So really happy for these changes. This is meant to be a hard game. This is meant to be a skill-based game. So getting rid of those spammable, easy peasy, spammy knife attacks is going to be really great for the game. Just like they reduced the spammability of the Romerus from previous betas, the nerf to these melees I think is overall good for the game. Next up, we have some assassin changes, and these are honestly, I think, some pretty significant buffs that overall are somewhat scary, actually, like kind of scarily good. So Romerus ammo increased from 4 to 5. Cool. I was actually an advocate for this, but I kind of think that was about where the buff should have ended. I think that's all she really needed was just a little bit more ammo to make that shotgun a little bit better because I want to play Assassin as a shotgun main, not so much as a melee main. Like, I want to use the shotgun as my primary weapon, and then only switch to the blades for those few situations where it's better, as opposed to the blades being so much better that the shotgun is just kind of like a whatever piddly little nothing gun, and then it's all about the melee. I don't like that. I like my first-person shooters being based upon first-person shooting, not first-person spamming. So I really, really am happy for this extra ammo. Will enable a lot more damage output from Assassin, so it seems really, really nice. They've also changed the Romerus charge fire time, so it's going to be a little bit faster now, as you can see in this GIF here. It's very slightly faster, so I guess they're feeling like just a small change like that is just going to make the ability feel better to players and hopefully make them use it more often. I know I'm someone that was not using this ability anywhere near as much as I should have been, and I learned that very, very, very late in the last beta, so I do hope to use this ability some more and really get to know it a lot better and understand it better and hopefully just play better as Assassin. And that extra round of mag will absolutely help. The Frenzy's AoE range was increased from 600 to 650, so think of the old melee range that was in the last beta and add just a little bit more to that, and that's it. So the point here, I'm assuming, is going to be just to make it more consistent, because a lot of the other heroes, or rather other characters' boss abilities or their ultimate abilities were pretty easy to hit, and even if you didn't necessarily hit, they provided you some kind of a benefit. Assassins, while it does still provide you a benefit even if you don't hit it, it's kind of hard to hit hers at sometimes. Like, even though you're getting really close to people, a lot of times you get so close, you're going so fast that you start to lose them, and it's very easy to just whiff on the ability entirely, and it's a big part of what makes Assassin's Burst so scary, is having that ultimate ready. So I am pretty okay with making it a little bit more consistent and making it a little bit more reliable, especially for maybe weaker players who aren't as good at the character or who don't generally prefer to play super fast and crazy roles, or for players that have a really low field of view because they prefer a low field of view or they don't even know what field of view means, and so they play on the lowest possible setting. And this will just generally help people be more consistent and be better assassin players. So if I can have some better assassins on my team, I am super, super excited for that. But the one thing that really scares me is that the frenzy health restoration from hitting while you're in that frenzy, while you're in that boss ability, the special mode that it puts you in, you are restoring a lot more health now than you ever did before. You're restoring double, in fact. And I don't feel that that change was necessary. I don't know why it happened. I generally never felt like I was blading people and then dying unfairly. I felt like whenever I was using my ultimate and getting that lifesteal and staying alive, that it was generally just for a few hits, just to make me a little bit stronger, just to let me get a little bit more damage out before dying. But now it seems like you're getting so much vampirism that you kind of become a face tank. And I really hope that this is not going to be super duper insanely crazy in this beta. But then again, it is a beta, it is for testing, so it's totally possible that they are over-buffing this on purpose just to see how she feels, so that way they can more adequately bring her back down a little bit to a more respectable value. Because 35 per hit may truly have been a little bit too low. It may not have fit their vision for how the character should play, so I can kind of understand that. And it's not totally out of the question, it's not totally unreasonable. Next up, we've got Enforcer, and this is going to somewhat change the way you play him at a high level, but at a low level, you're not even really going to feel these changes, I don't think. So at a high level, what Enforcer was really insane at was you turn on your turbo boost and you get close range and you use your aerator, and as long as you have really, really, really good tracking, you would never run out of turbo boost. You would be firing at a super high rate of fire, dealing 27 damage per bullet and melting through just freaking everybody. You would do so much damage so fast. Like, even a tanked up Juggernaut would struggle to beat you in a 1 versus 1 because you just dealt so much damage as long as your aim was good and you got a good number of headshots in there. So now what they're doing is they're increasing his ammo capacity but reducing the bonus rate of fire from that distortion field. So now you have to shoot people for a longer period of time. You can't just get that big burst as much. You will still get big bursts, but just not the crazy big bursts of damage from good tracking that you could get before. If your tracking isn't great, then you're not going to feel a whole lot of change here. But if you're one of those really high-level players, one of those really, really, really just strong aiming players, this nerf will be felt. Now, is it going to be too much of a nerf? Probably not. I think a lot of what makes Enforcer really broken is actually the fact that you can stack multiple Enforcers on a team. So I think that we need to wait and see what the game might play like in a 1-hero limit sort of situation, or maybe even a 2-hero limit, because if you start nerfing Enforcer too hard, then it's going to be completely useless in one hero limit situations while still being strong in stacking situations. So I think that where the game goes at a competitive level will really determine how they continue to balance Enforcer, given some more time for people to play the game and learn it and get better at it. So I'm questionable about all these changes. I do understand that Enforcer was too strong and needed nerfs, and I'm absolutely an advocate for that, especially at long range. This particular change where max range damage is decreased from 16 to 13, absolutely critical. The ability for Enforcer to kill people from long range was too good, so hopefully it's not going to be as much of a sniper anymore. And really, these damage changes are not going to change your ability to kill people too much. Like close range, just ballpark, it's going to be maybe 2 more bullets to kill people, and it's super long range like this, it'll be more like 4 more bullets to kill people. So I think that's really appropriate for long range. The close range isn't going to change much, but the long range is going to be the big change here, I think. So hopefully this puts Enforcer in a more reasonable state, but it really will remain to be seen how this character plays out in multiple hero stacking situations, because the big thing that makes it crazy is that 2 Enforcers can turbo boost each other. So if one is out of boost, the other isn't, then they're both still boosted at all times for the most part, as long as they're close together. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I don't want to dwell on that for too much longer here. Next up, we have Gunslinger. We'll try to run through this a little bit quicker. The Tack Knife, which is your pulse blade if you're a fan of Titanfall. It's like that knife you throw that gives you wall hacks for you and your whole team. The thrown damage of it has been doubled to 200, which I'm totally a fan of. That is a skill shot ability that you should be rewarded for hitting people with more than 100 damage, so happy to see that. They've also increased the gravity of it, and this is not for balance reasons, I'm assuming. My guess is that this is only really for consistency or for predictability. So generally, when players play this character for the first time and they press their E ability, it's like, oh, I throw a knife. Okay, cool. The next few times that they use it, they know it's a knife throw. They're going to expect that knife to dip over time. They're going to expect it to drop with gravity, because what video game do you throw a knife perfectly straight for an infinite distance? They always drop. They always have drop. And the one in this game didn't. So I think, and I guess, they're probably adding the drop just to make it so it's more predictable and that you stop throwing the knife in the wrong angle because you're expecting it to fall. So I know I had that problem where I would throw it extra high, expecting it to drop down into a doorway, and it never did, and then I just felt dumb because I wasted my ability. So I'm, I guess, happy to see this change. It's not really a big deal either way, but I think that maybe that first impression of the character is very important, and they're trying to capture a better first impression and make the character more predictable. So probably the big deal here. There's also, what most people don't realize, there's a secret melee attack involving this knife, where if you press the knife button and you're really close to somebody, you can at some times deal a very, very, very devastating knife stab attack with it. So the range on this has been increased from 225 to 300. So this is 3/4 of the range of your normal melee, so you must be extra close in order to use this. It's not the normal kick range. You have to be even closer to hit this, but I'm really excited to see this happening more consistently and more players getting it, because I can't say I've ever actually done it or seen anyone else do it. So really excited to see how this actually plays out now that it's going to be more consistent. Warp cooldown, so that's your teleport ability. That's happening a little bit faster now, which is good. A lot of players complain about the Wraith lacking mobility, which is kind of by design. The Wraith is sort of supposed to be the slowest class in the game, so that kind of is what it is. But those warps are really, really, really powerful in those close range engagements. So it's not so much that you're using them for map mobility as you use them for combat mobility. And Wraith Gunslinger is really good at that mid combat mobility. Like you take you'll take a right click, dash, right click, dash, right click, dash, right click, and it's like you are so hard to track, so hard to predict while you're dealing some really, really good hit scan headshot damage. And it's a really good way to play in Gunslinger. I've only seen like 1 or 2 Gunslingers really abusing that. Bipolar Fish comes to mind. Really, really strong Gunslinger player, and it's definitely the way to play him at a high level. So extra warp cooldown, or rather faster warp cooldown, will make the character even stronger than he already was. And trust me, Gunslinger was already really strong. They've also made the Equalizer, which is his ultimate ability or his boss ability, have a faster rate of fire now. So previously it was 0.125 and now it's 0.1. And this is time between shots is how they're saying this. So I don't know why they're wording it this way, because I think the smarter way of wording it would be rate of fire, because if there's less time between shots, then that means you're firing more rounds per second, and therefore a rate of fire is being increased. So If I'm reading this correctly, then we're looking at 10 rounds per second, or rather 10 bursts per second. I'm not sure if that's totally accurate, but just reading this, that's what seems to be the case. So hopefully this makes it feel better for weaker players, I guess, but I don't really understand the whole point of this buff because I don't think that this ultimate was ever underpowered. I don't think that most Gunslinger mains thought that this ultimate was underpowered. I think they were all perfectly happy with the amount of damage and the DPS that it did. So by increasing rate of fire, you are directly increasing DPS, and I don't understand why. I really don't understand why. I don't know if the total duration of this ultimate is being brought down, so you're firing the same number of shots, or if it's just a straight rate of fire increase and it's still the same duration, meaning you're firing more bullets and you're firing them faster. So this seems like a very, very, very huge buff to Gunslinger, and I don't know why it happened. So I'm really interested to see if there's going to be any developer commentary on this in the future. I would love to see a reason because I don't understand, and it seems crazy to me. They've also fixed a bug relating to the Omega's damage fall-off curve. So previously, it used to be better to one-tap people very quickly with the right clicks from long range as opposed to charging up your shots at long range. So the damage fall-off curve has been adjusted, so now it's going to be better to actually do those charge shots at long range, unless you really need the quick tap, which is what it's supposed to be for. It's supposed to be weaker, but a quick tap, as opposed to the long charge shots. So glad to see that change happening. Next up, we have some changes to Juggernaut. So in previous betas, he was really underpowered. In the last beta, he was very overpowered. So now they're trying to find that nice middle ground. So Armored Protocol, or rather his armoring up ability, has been increased in cost from 10% per second to 15% per second. So that means that it should be draining a lot faster. Let's not do live math. It's going to be draining a lot faster here. So as you can see in the GIF, I'm sure that is the new duration with that new drain. And you can see it doesn't last very long, only a few seconds, maybe 4, 5, 6 seconds, something in that range, which is much lower than what it used to be. It used to last a whole lot longer. So this is hopefully going to make Juggernaut more reasonable as a tank, where if you want to play him with that tank role, you only have a short period of time to do it. You have to make a power play with Juggernaut to make that happen, as opposed to being permanently tanked up and permanently just a god inside of your base, or having 2 jugs that are permanently gods along with a medic or 2. It was just so insane to break. So hopefully this will make it a lot more reasonable for counterplay. So excited to see how this plays out in this next beta. Shotgun damage is also being reduced from 18 to 15 per pellet, so that is 27 damage per pull of the trigger, and multiply that by 8 in mag, you're looking at a good 200 plus damage less per magazine for Juggernaut. So that is going to be a big change in his damage output, and honestly probably pretty good for the game. A lot of people are complaining with how strong Juggernaut was at range with those pellets, so hopefully he becomes less of a sniper, and he's still really, really good at that close range engagement. So it's just not meant to be a big, huge, crazy DPS class, right? Like it's good at DPS because of the shotgun and the melee and the kick and all that, but it's not meant to be this crazy outputting thing. It's got to be a little weaker. Next up, the shotgun damage is being reduced from 18 to 15 per pull of the trigger. That is a 27 damage change per pull of the trigger if every pellet hits. And if you multiply that by an entire magazine with every pellet hitting, that is 200 less damage overall. Now, of course, that's never going to actually happen in the real world, but that is still a big potential in damage being decreased. So we'll have to see how this plays out. I think Juggernaut is still going to be extremely deadly in those close range fights, but this will hopefully maybe help it be so at those long range, really, really super long range engagements, Juggernaut can't reliably finish off people like he could in the last beta. A lot of people complain that Juggernaut was kind of a sniper in that he was able to finish off targets from a little bit too far of a distance. So hopefully this small damage nerf will be enough to let those players live with 1 HP in a lot of situations when they would normally die. I don't know if that's necessarily good or bad for the game, but it is a change that a lot of people complain about. So hopefully this small damage nerf will make it feel a little bit better overall. Hollow Deflector is also being halved in terms of its health, so that way teams can now more reliably force their way through it if they want to. Previously, if I was playing as Titan and I used my Palpatine Hands ultimate ability and I tried to just lay into that wall, I could not kill that wall by myself. I couldn't do enough damage, which is insane to me. Like, that is a really powerful ultimate, and I just couldn't do enough damage to work through it. So hopefully now with these changes, it's going to be a little bit more consistent in terms of just being able to work your way through it. And it's really something that Juggernaut didn't need to have as strong as it was before. So I'm really happy to see that there's going to be some counterplay and team play being opened up against this now, because previously it was just simply too hard and teams did not bother to even try forcing their way through. So now forcing their way through is a thing. Excited to try it. Next up, we have some changes to the Wraith. Now, the Wraith has been a big point of contention in the community, so it's received some pretty significant nerfs to compensate for it, but I don't know how they're going to actually play out in the real game. So first up, health being reduced by 25 points. I would have loved to see this be 300 and not 325, but at this point, it's hard to baby cry and whine for 25 more health being taken away from the class, so we'll just have to try it out as is, and we'll see how it goes. Slide damage being reduced significantly from 85 down to 25. That will make that combo of Wraith a little bit less powerful. It'll make the spammability of Wraith a little bit less powerful. That's all really, really good. This is not going to hurt high-level Wraith players. It's not going to hurt competitive-level Wraith players, but it will hurt the really, really low-level Wraith players that are being carried by the character and don't deserve their wins. So hopefully this is a really, really good change for the health of the game and for the health of the community. The Wasp stab range has been reduced from 600 to 400, which again falls in line with those standard melee range reductions across the board. No surprises here. Now, we're also seeing the consecutive Wasp stabs, and you can see this in the GIF here. Consecutive Wasp stabs are going to result in lunging impulse decrease. So every stab you do consecutively, you're going to be thrown a shorter and shorter distance. There's less lunge now, as long as you're doing multiple stabs in a row. Now, your initial stab still has the full lunge, but every subsequent one in quick succession will be less and less. And that's really good, because it makes the Wraith less spammable. It makes the Wraith bunny hopping a little bit more of a chore to do. You can't just simply slide, jump, stab, jump, stab, jump, stab, jump, stab, jump, stab ad nauseum for forever. You can't do that anymore. You have to work a little bit harder for your stuff now, so that's really, really good, I feel. We're also seeing a small nerf to the Spectre pistol's damage at max range, down from 13 to 12 now. I do feel this is still too much damage. This is supposed to be a small, piddly, crappy SMG where it does high damage at close range, but it should not be as effective as it is at long range. If you tap fire this thing effectively, you are nearly as accurate as an Enforcer, and you can deal very, very respectable DPS at long range with this class. And I feel that that is one of the big reasons why the Wraith was so overpowered, but nobody complained about it because nobody played Wraith that way. Everyone was just herp derp mash right click and spam with the character, as opposed to using what was actually broken, which was, I feel, the Spectre. So we will have to wait and see how this plays out in the final game. I am scared. I am nervous. But at least the character will be worse in the hands of bad players, so that is definitely going to be good for the game. And also, you don't want this character to be completely useless at a high level, so if you nerf the Spectre along with all these changes, nobody will ever play Wraith at a high level, and the character will be nerfed into oblivion. So Wraith has to be good at something, and that's fine, but the max range of the Spectre is questionable to me at best, and the range on that explosive knife is also pretty wonky. So we will have to see how this character plays out in the grand scheme of things, but like I said, I am nervous. I'm very nervous. Next up, I'm really excited about the changes to Titan, because I suggested nearly all of these changes in a previous video talking about Titan, and they're all happening, and I am super duper excited, because I feel like I actually maybe made a difference in the game's development. Hooray! I helped by complaining on the internet. I don't know how that works, but somehow it worked. Anyways, so Hammerhead rocket ammo increased from 5 to 6. Good. Happy. She needed that extra rocket. Hammerhead reload speed increased by 5%. Good. Happy. She needed that. She really did. Hammerhead on-screen real estate adjusted during reload and blind fire to address covering center of screen issues. Hooray! I'm so happy for this, because before, what would happen is when you reloaded, I think you can see my mouse in this recording, the rocket would cover this part of your screen right here. So this entire 2/3 in this box that I'm drawing with my mouse was completely covered. You could not see anything reliably in this area. You had to aim way to the right of your target, so that way this left 1/3 could be used to continue tracking your target, and then you just snap left and shoot, snap left, shoot, snap left, shoot, snap left, shoot, kind of, you know? And you needed to do that so that way you had full view on your target, because this model is just so big, and the animation pushed it into the middle of your screen for no reason. So they've changed that. As you can see, the rocket is now angling forward when you reload it instead of angling to the left. Your hand kind of covers the crosshair very, very briefly, but again, it's very briefly. It's not a big deal. It's not enough for me to complain about, and I'm totally fine with this change. Now, the only sad thing about it is that it makes it a little bit harder for you to see your really cool skins for this gun, but if you watch really closely during that reload animation towards the end, there's a little tilt towards the camera where the rocket tilts in, and you can kind of see your camo a little bit better. Like, watch the teeth on the front of the rocket there, and you'll see how it kind of tilts in, and you get a decent view for just a split second. And that's honestly enough, where you get to just appreciate that eye candy for just a moment. Or maybe if you don't as a player, if you're putting videos on YouTube or you're streaming, people that are watching you can view that. So that's really, really nice. They've also reduced the cooldown of Pulverize from 12 seconds to 8, which should hopefully help that ability turn into more of a mobility utility as opposed to something that you must use for damage, because if you use it for mobility, then you have no DPS left when you actually rocket jump into somebody. So hopefully you can use this for both uses now, and I'm really happy about this because I use Pulverize a lot for mobility, especially when I'm running away from a fight and trying to get the health packs and I don't want to rocket jump because I might kill myself. So I do generally feel a lot better about the class with these changes. Now, with all this stuff said, I do feel like Titan should not receive any more buffs whatsoever for the next couple of months at least, because this is a really, really difficult character to play, and it's very different from anything else in the game. You guys need to realize that this is a character that you have to focus on and get really, really good with in order to see just how powerful it can be. If you're playing it for just a weekend and then you're making significant like outcries of the character's OP or underpowered, like, you need to just wait, give the game time to evolve, give players time to evolve, because I think this is what you fundamentally needed to be able to both do some mobility stuff and shoot people all in the same magazine and not spend 30 years reloading. It also lets her use that Pulverize for mobility, so she can get around, or he should get around, they can get around more consistently now, and that's really all the class needed. It didn't need damage increases or anything, and honestly, the extra round in magazine is kind of scary, because if you're not using that for mobility, that is like an extra 225 damage you could potentially be putting out. So really, really not sure how this is going to play out. I don't know. We'll have to play it and see, but you really got to give it a lot of time here. You got to give this time, give players a chance to get good at Titan and get really, really good at killing people with it. And then once you play some really oppressive Titans, then you can start learning how to counterplay Titan and how to deal with it. And only then can we really evaluate, does the character need to be buffed? Does the character need to be nerfed? Because right now, the character is probably in a really, really, really strong and solid position, and we're going to have to wait and see what alternate does and how people can kill alternate. That's really what it comes down to. Next up, we have Pulsar's cost being reduced from 40% down to 30%. Very simple change, but I think is going to be a good one for the character, mostly because you want to use that Pulsar sometimes for mobility, not just for damage. I know I use it that way, and I think Vertigo is a good example. If you're standing in the base of Vertigo by the battery, there is a ledge either off to your left or right, depending on which side of the map. There is a spot where you need like a double jump or triple jump to get up this one ledge to get onto the side of the base, but if you have a mobility option, like every class in the game does, you can use that to get up. So if you're a Titan, you can rocket jump up, and if you are Vanguard, what you can do is look down at the ground and pulsar the ground when you jump, and you will throw yourself up high enough to essentially do a ghetto rocket jump onto that ledge. And there's a lot of ledges like that all throughout the game. There's all sorts of areas that you can reach with rocket jumps, and hopefully this reduced cost will let people do that a little bit more consistently, a little bit more readily, while also being able to use that pulsar in combat a little bit more readily as well. Because I see so many Vanguard players out there not using their pulsar, and it does such a huge spike of damage. It is so important to being able to win your gunfights, because even though that minigun does crazy DPS and it's one of the best guns in the game, you do need that extra burst because you don't have enough health to survive in long, drawn-out engagements. You need to get in, kill somebody, and get back out. So a cheaper pulsar is going to let you do that. You're going to be able to pulsar people more readily in combat, and then once you're low on fuel and trying to get away, the pulsar will come sooner to get you back out. So this is actually a bigger buff for Vanguard than you might initially realize, and I'm really excited to give her a try and see just how it ends up changing the way I play the game upon this final beta and then final release as well. Finally, before we're done here, there have been some matchmaking changes, so hopefully matchmaking times are going to be further improved from what they are. These times that we have are already really, really good. Nothing wrong with those, but hopefully they're going to become even better. We're also going to be seeing, and this is the big change here, personal performance now affects MMR. So before, if you were a really good player and were playing with really bad players or vice versa, if you were winning a lot of games you shouldn't have won, or losing a lot of games you shouldn't have lost because of your team, your MMR was being inflated or deflated unfairly. So now, not only is your team performance going to take into account, but also your personal performance will be taken into account. So if you're a really, really strong aiming player and you're really good at killing people, but you don't play the objective ever and you don't score that well because of it, you're now not going to be stuck with other players who play the objective but aren't as good at killing people, and you're not going to have a shooting gallery anymore. You're now going to play better players who will punish you for not playing that objective, and you're going to be forced to learn the game in all ways. If you're bad at shooting, you're going to be punished and forced to learn how to shoot. If you're bad at playing objectives but you're good at shooting, you're going to be forced to play objectives and learn how to play those while still shooting. And it's a really, really interesting approach to the game, and I'm really excited to see how this changes the way that I play my matches, the way that the matchmaker puts me into games, because I certainly like to be challenged in the majority of my games. I don't want to play blowouts either way. I want to play a good, fun, challenging game, and Lawbreakers is really, really good at making every game feel epic and challenging, so having the matchmaker working in their favor more so than ever now is going to just make that feeling so fantastic. And that's the big thing about Lawbreakers, is it captures that feeling of competition like other games don't. Every game makes your heart race and, just makes your, I don't know, just makes you go nuts, right? At least it does for me. Like every bit of music, every bit of just everything about it feels so good when it's coming down to the wire and you're going for that last blitzball capture. It's absolutely critical and just awesome. So I don't want to gush about that for too much longer. I just wanted to say that's about it for all my opinions here. There's not really anything else that's super crazy that's been changed. I mean, the vote to stay button is removed, so now players are going to be thrown together, and then they're going to stay together for a while unless they manually leave. So that's probably going to be good for the game, so that way you can have better matches. If you get blown out one match, you're not just going to get thrown into a new party. You can be like, okay, these guys blew us up. What do we need to do to play differently, to get better, to improve, and then beat them back, or at least maybe not even lose as hard? And that's a really good thing for the game, because this is a competitive game by nature. You don't want to be one and done. You want to play a 2 out of 3. You want to play a 3 out of 5. So having that be the baseline, and then if you want to quit, you just actually quit, is probably the better way of doing it. So I'm really, really, really happy to see this change happening. So it's going to be good for the game. The only bad thing is that up to 3 players can be auto-requeued into a new match when their skill doesn't align with other players after a match. So I really hope this does not brood toxicity in the game. So if you're playing and you're a player that gets kicked out a lot because your skill doesn't match, I hope you don't start getting messages from players saying, oh, haha, you got kicked out by the matchmaker, you noob, and this and that. Like, I appreciate that this is supposed to be a competitive game and one that you have to be skilled to play, but at the same time, like, promoting toxicity is bad. So I really hope that this particular point in the patch notes does not cause toxicity within the community, because that can kill very quickly. So I understand why they're doing it, and I would absolutely like to see those weaker players get kicked out of my team so I can get someone better on my team. Sure, like, that's a good thing, but I just really hope that socially people do not take that the wrong way, and that they don't start being toxic towards players because of it. I really hope that there is absolutely no distinction between a player who quit the game normally and someone who was automatically re-queued because their skill was too low or too high. I really hope that there is no indication of that, and that it just looks like they're leaving the game naturally of their own accord, because that will be the best possible way to limit that toxicity if it were to potentially even happen. And I might be worried about nothing here. I might be going on like there's a phrase for this, and I'm just too dumb to think of it. But basically, I don't mean to incite panic. I'm like crying wolf. Was that maybe it? I really don't want to. I don't want to incite panic. I just hope that toxicity doesn't happen. Anyways, guys, I'm rambling too much as I always do. Thank you for watching. I hope that you have become more excited about Lawbreakers seeing these patch notes. They are changing so many things for the betterment of the game, and things are looking to be really, really good thanks to all these changes. So, again, thanks guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys.